Hi, my name is April Nicolas, and welcome to the Just Do You Summit. I am here today because I wanted to put together this summit with a bunch of experts with different expertise in different fields. Part of it is because of my own journey in my life and having to pick up the pieces, starting over, and having a new perception, really. Who we have today is Dr. Kevin Haselhort, and he is the leading expert on compassionate end of life care. And I love what Kevin does because he has what I just told him. It's like coming full circle and having this journey of a fulfilling life. And then instead of having a sad ending to it, he has a new perspective in which we could actually celebrate our life here now as well as the ending of it eventually. So welcome, Dr. Haselhort. And can you tell us a little something about yourself and what made you want to be a doctor and then really be advocate for this topic?
Thank you, April. It's a pleasure to be with you today and speaking about my interest in end-of-life care as well as your topic along wellness. And, I think as a little child, I saw something respectable about a doctor that I connected with, and I'm sure it had something to do with the healing profession and just wanting to do something for other people. And I think on a deeper level, as I've grown into my experience as a healer, I realized most of that was the inside work as well that I wanted to venture into as I care for patients. So I think it's been a fascinating journey to, you're not sure why you want something, and then you realize why you need to have that or make that contribution in life. It's self-serving as well as it is serving for others.
Well, it's so gracious of you. I mean, because I'm sure your life is busy as a doctor, but you're also so passionate about this, and I haven't heard of somebody being so passionate and really wanting to help wake people up to that this can be celebratory instead of sad.
Well, again, in the emergency room, I see patients at all stages of life, from the moment that the pregnancy test turns positive to the moment you pronounce somebody. And I have really sort of felt like those people at the end of life have been, people don't know what to say to them. And they're not really giving them the truth, I think, of the matter of what they really, but as you open up the conversation, it's amazing how forthright many people are about wanting to be smart about it, to be sort of in control of the situation. And they just want somebody to give them permission to say it's okay to feel this way and to act upon those feelings that say, it's time for me to, I'm not getting better. I want to be more comfortable. And I don't really want to stay in the hospital anymore. And just to be able to listen to that and sort of respect that on a level that says, yeah, I get that. I don't want to have to keep going through the unending kind of processes that the healthcare systems put people through.
Right.
And I think it's so important for people to know when the end is near and how to enjoy that part of their life as well as other phases of their life.
Well, as I was reading your website, there a lot of the things that you were stating about how people deal with the end of life is sort of also the same thing that people go through, the questions if they were living a life that feels unfulfilled, not joyful, which then leads them to feeling bad, unhealthy, creating, like really not so good choices in how they treat themselves. So I'm sure you've seen them, right? Because hearts are aching.
Yeah, anything that's not manageable in life presents to the emergency room because there's this sense of helplessness, this feeling like I don't know what to do. Sometimes it's a more physical thing, sometimes it's more of an emotional thing, and obviously they interplay between the two. And I think it's important to suffer, decipher. So much of patients will say, I'm in extreme pain, but they don't look like they're in pain.
Right.
So there's a suffering component to their physical pain that makes me wonder, what's all that suffering about? Where did that come from? Because I don't think, unless we unless we unpack some of that, we're probably not going to get the pain any better either. There's only so much medication's going to do.
Exactly. And that's really where the society's headed. They put the Band-Aid on it instead of addressing the issue. For myself, just as an example, back in 2010, I had severe migraines. I had, my hips were hurting, my knee joints were popping. Like I was like 36, 37. And, you know, my body was like, something's wrong. So I had all the lab works done. They did an MRI, couldn't find anything, you know? Yeah. And so what ended up happening was I saw a picture of myself one day and I looked half dead. I mean, really, I felt like I wasn't living that fulfilled life. And what ended up happening was a shift of perception that led to a shift of choices for me and choosing life. Like how you were saying, to choose something that you believe in. And I believe that being that young, I shouldn't be feeling that way. So right. I started to think, talk, and act as if I cared about my own life. And so I was going to ask you, you made it very right on your homepage about creating your own personal mission statement. What does that look like for people and what does it mean?
Well, again, it's owning your life on some level. And many people will turn their health situation, health conditions over to their doctor and say, fix me. And they're, depending upon the ease of that in terms of understanding a very simple, you know, if this is a quick fix or is this more of a long-term kind of situation. And I think just understanding, you know, if the doctor can't tell me an immediate answer within the first, you know, 30 minutes or a couple hours of worth of doing some x-rays and that sort of thing, and you're kind of left empty-handed in many respects, then right. Like you sort of turn it into yourself and say, okay, where am I sabotaging my life? What are the other issues that might be affecting me? And I think just the fact that you're open to that gives you a different ability to manage the situation.
Right.
But I think in terms of the personal mission statement, I think, you know, even just your purpose in life, if you right. can nail down what exactly it is you are supposed to do here, it gives you a sense of completeness when you know that as the end goes near that, yeah, I'm done with, I've completed my purpose. I don't feel this lingering sense of what was my life about. No, my life was about wound healing. That was my mission to, you know, I look at my parents and what was their mission, because I really get that as you connect with people's purpose, you understand the gift that they are.
Right.
And with that, it becomes so much more, I think you appreciate them on a level that says, okay, I got it. I got what I needed from them, and I'm content with that. I feel like there's a reason for their being, my being, and I don't linger in the thoughts of wanting something more, because once I've identified what I've gotten, I think I'm satisfied on that level.
Right. So I'm sure you've seen this. Most of our culture, at least for me, when I was brought up, we didn't talk about the hard questions, so there's always that elephant sitting in the room, so to speak. And then you hear of people who they get cancer and then they change and all of a sudden they're alive and they're talking to people that haven't talked in years to make closure so it's almost like I look at you and what you do and I'm like, why do we wait till then? You know what I mean?
Well, because we haven't set a time frame for our life. We haven't realized, okay, like I'm very clear now that I would like to die between the ages of 65 and 85. I don't see the value of having to extend to necessarily prove myself on a level that says, if I get to 100, then I'm perfect, or I've achieved a perfect lifetime kind of thing.
Right.
I sense that, you know, if I die between 65 and 85, I'll never be disappointed, because I anticipated that that I had set that out in that perspective. It's like making a self-fulfilling prophecy, and,
right.
and walking into the moment of being able to die naturally, because it's so much easier when you go sort of with the flow in some respects as you develop cancer. And, you know, particularly when the diagnosis is poor, you understand that most of what you're doing is just challenging yourself on a way that, do you really deserve this, or is this necessary? And everybody, the initial reaction is yes, of course, we always do everything to save a life. But in the end, our life doesn't. It will never be saved. At some point, you will have to withdraw care, and or at least withdraw in medical intervention, and
Right.
really kind of sign out against medical advice. You want to be able to stay at home. You want to be able to be comfortable, and and be freed in that experience instead of shamed. Right
Right.
now, it's shameful if you give up. No quitters here. In
Right.
America, we're not quitters. And
Right.
so, and I hear that oftentimes, and I'm like, well, no, we have to. When the day is over, we want to lay our head down on the pillow and we want to say we're done. It's not necessarily quitting. It's just saying I'm complete for this moment.
But being at peace with your life that you've led up to that point, absolutely. That's where that mission statement comes in.
And that sense of wellness, I really want to. Your this conversation about wellness really sparked a phenomenon in me in terms of asking other people, what does wellness mean to you? And I realized that, like, one is a wellness coach. So I'm like, she's the expert. She knows. She said that means optimizing your life.
Yes.
Another person, it always seems like there was a challenge put before you, that if
Yes.
you want to be well, you got to, there's work involved. It's not easy to be healthy. And I thought that seems very strange because uh, as I thought more about it, I think wellness means you're comfortable in life.
Yes.
And you're not necessarily looking to I mean, you understand that just from people's as you see them, that person looks well, they look vibrant, they're not overly despondent or having these emotional challenges. They're not suffering.
Right.
They're comfortable in their skin, in their clothes, in their home, in their workplace.
Right.
That's almost unreal these days, to find a person who has it together in that regard. At least
Right.
my experience in the emergency room. That's
Well,
primarily.
it's funny you said that because I'm thinking about your age range that you've stated, 65 to 85, and I'm not saying, okay, he looks at that and he says, oh, so whatever happens after 65 is whatever happens, but it's more of like, I have all this life to live fully and have each moment count.
Well, even just taking, if you want to take the trip of a lifetime, don't wait. Don't keep putting it off. If you intend to die between 65 and 85, you might start taking that trip at 65 instead of waiting until, you're almost afraid to complete that part of your journey because either you don't deserve it or you don't think you're, like, I think my parents were sort of that intention of going to Hawaii at some point, but
Yes.
then they sort of got too old to go to Hawaii, and
Yeah.
it became a little bit like, okay, they're very we're going to wait till tomorrow, we're saving up for tomorrow kind of thing.
Right. So is
It's
my
like,
parents.
and I understand the generation and their values in that regard, but it also worked against them in some ways because they didn't necessarily listen to their uh, um, uh, take note of what was important to them as well. What mattered to them was to have an experience of life that was complete.
Right. Well, that's what I'm hearing lately. It's a bunch of us is waking up to what is this about? And I think I shared with you somebody I work with had recently passed away with cancer. And then all of us here, the whole floor was like, what are we doing it all for? All the 9 to 5, the waiting till I make this X amount of money to be happy, or when the kids are grown, or whatever it is. What are we waiting for? Like, to live? You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting. It's that carrot, the carrot on the stick that you just never really kind of reach, and because we really haven't connected with the idea of what that carrot looks like or what it's supposed to look like. Because I think we still have a childhood fairy tale about living in the kingdom or having this sort of phenomenal golf course,
Right.
golf club environment, or this millionaire acres. In the game of life, we were supposed to end up in millionaire acres
Right.
and have this phenomenal life. And as I've gotten into this whole topic about being comfortable, is really like I don't want to live in that environment. I really like the environment I have here, and I'm not waiting to start my life at when I retire kind of thing. I'm actually experiencing the sense of contentment right now. And I sort of have written this short book called "Sail the Seven Seas of Graceful Departures," and it's 7 C words. That's kind of almost a recipe for wellness. As I thought about this topic, you just don't get from point A to point B. It's a journey. Wellness is not a quick fix. So just do you it takes some understanding around what it takes to do you, or how to become more well. And
Yes.
so those 7 C words are composure. You don't really get it, especially in the emergency room, if you're not able to take a deep breath, count to 10, whatever it is that you're struggling with at the moment. You're not going to make any rational decision until you pull yourself back together in some
Right.
respect.
And that's the amazing part. That's part of your gift that the people are going to get when they link up with you.
Yeah, because I'm going to get them right to the fact that, okay, we're working towards getting you comfortable. So, first we're going to look at your composure, and each step is about letting go of something. So
Right.
whatever emotional stuff, baggage you're carrying in that moment, can you put some of that aside for the moment so we can get to the comfort level?
Yes.
If you're not composed and you're angry, you're never going to get comfortable, and you're never going to heal if you're angry.
Well, it's so funny. I say that when I'm freaking out in my head, I'm like, okay, when my emotions are high, my intelligence is really low.
Yeah, because that's the second word, C word, is competence.
Yeah.
You don't display competence when you're irrational. And so you get discounted in many respects. So you're challenged to, okay, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. So
Right.
if you got that, and so the following step after that is commitment. You center in on the fact of what's important to me here is I get the information that I need, or I get my questions answered. It's so many people leave the emergency room and say the doctor didn't tell me anything. And
I know,
part of that
because
is
by the
because
time they get to your ER, they're freaking out, right?
they have not got composed enough to really have gotten comfortable at all. So then that fourth word is certainty. In that sense of you know it inside this at this
Right.
point. Okay, I heard what the doctor said. Makes sense to me. We're good now. And then the sense of conformity after certainty is you want to be able to step into uh, normalcy and going with the flow, and not sort of reacting in a way that says, especially when you're standing at odds with somebody, you really are straining the sense of being comfortable in that environment when you're sort of certain that you're righteous, but you're not really you're
Right.
not really helping the
Right.
situation. The last 2 words are compassion and then comfort. Compassion is allowing people their choice. So you
Yes.
may have certain aspects that you're. I think it's more from other. You have to give yourself permission as well to be to understand what your needs are versus what in being a conformist. You still
Right.
have to understand how you fit into that, being in harmony with other people,
Right. And
still having your voice in that.
allowing everybody the dignity to have their own choices in how to go about living as well as dying.
Right.
You
It's like your choices in life. It's the same pattern over and over again. It was phenomenal when I thought about wellness and how important it was, and how we're sort of distracting from it in the field of medicine. I think medicine actually is artificial wellness. We
Mm-hmm.
are inviting people into a quick fix in many respects,
Yes.
but we're not really helping the comprehensive aspect of what wellness means, and that's more of a personal journey and an understanding of um, your power that you have to heal.
Yeah, well, that's interesting you said that because I know of both people who have died of cancer and who have lived through cancer. And both at like really advanced stages of it. And some chose to pass, and others have gone through the treatments and survived to live another day and more.
And some have not done the treatments and have gotten better. Some got sicker on the
Yes.
treatments. So and I think on the inside, you kind of have a certain little voice that tells you this, I don't want to do that. And so maybe that should be, you need to listen more to that sometimes than what the doctor tells you. I
Right.
mean, and I much prefer people come back. I didn't listen to the doctor, or the doctor told me I was going to die in 6 months, and here I am 5 or 10 years later.
Yes.
I think our ability to heal is anybody's guess in some
Yes.
respects, but it is your I think your ability to believe in yourself and to feel into those sense of that, again, that competence that says, I know I can do this. And many people do overcome these hurdles in life, and the autoimmune problems with lupus and Addison's disease, things that sort of eat away at your body that people have been able to reverse just by either their diet or their
Right.
sense of detoxifying their life. They keep letting go of different things that have been sabotaging their well-being.
Yes. Well, it's so funny you said letting go. Um, for myself and those I know in the field, um, that letting go means a lot. It could be anywhere from toxic people, places, and things, food, environments that you're living in, choices that we're making, thoughts that we are, how we
Mm,
speak to ourselves. I mean,
right.
they all lead up to this. And I was thinking about the questions I was going to ask you today and how important it was. When I said this is like coming full circle, when people die and they have on those plaque like your birth date and then your the day you die, and there's that little dash in the middle.
Right.
And I look at that little dash and it's so short, right? But it is the span of our life. And in that journey, we all have these choices that we make up until the end of it. And you were talking about how you've seen people as they were born, as they conceive, as they get sick, as they're at the tail end of their life. And it's like, what an amazing place for you to be to actually see the value of life.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the and the tragic in many
Right.
respects regarding how people manage. And I've seen some very beautiful people in the emergency room. It's not, and that's inspiring to me. A little 18-year-old girl with cerebral palsy who had this huge smile and a sense of wellness about her that I normally don't always associate with that disease. And she just stood out incredibly. And I looked at her mother and I thought, this didn't happen by accident. Her mother had some uh, contribution to her being who she is in life and being a
Right.
very confident young woman. That it was just an amazing experience, I think, to really know the potential people have when they let something go. The agony or whatever she the challenges that she had, she doesn't let them get the best of her. She's able to
Yes.
use them to her advantage, and has made a striking kind of
I
appearance.
love that. I love that. And I think that's really what makes a difference between what you said, having a mission statement of being clear in who we are, why we're here, and how are we going to go at the end of the day. Do we get to look back and have regrets or live fully?
Really centering on the idea, am I comfortable, and what's stopping me from being comfortable? I think if you can keep it down to simple terms, that's my journey is to be comfortable in life, and to take on I probably need to let go of something to be able to get comfortable.
Right. And
What it kind of
actually, a
was.
big part of that is not caring what anybody else thinks.
Of course, of
You know,
course.
and one of the aspects I was thinking back on was the fact that you were able to say goodbye to your father um, at on his last days without feeling like you had to play catch up to have this peace and love there.
Yeah, again, I'm very emergency medicine is all about being prepared, because from one minute to the next, there's no guarantees that any one of us is going to be around.
Yeah.
And I think as my parents got older, it was important for me to make sure that I had not left anything unsaid. And so I
Yes.
created sort of around a particular birthday when it felt like it was getting a little close. I just sort of set a standard that they get in a lifetime achievement day kind of thing, where I flew into town because they live in Arizona, they live in St. Louis, and I
Yes.
surprised them. And we had a wonderful dinner, and I had a nice gift for them, and I wrote them a letter that sort of it was able to say exactly what I wanted to bring forth. And I think it's not awkward because it's around their birthday, so it isn't like I'm necessarily saying goodbye or anything. I'm
Right.
just acknowledging their contribution to my life and feeling complete that I've said everything. And
Yeah,
as you,
well, it showed me that you were showing up for your own life and you were showing up for theirs to celebrate both.
yeah, and also the grieving process, because I see the horror of people who continue to suffer the
Yes.
loss of a loved one and because they never really said, they never felt like they were complete with that person, that
Yes.
they had really showed their gratitude to them, even. It's sad to me that you missed that opportunity. And again, why are you waiting for that moment when you can? Obviously, anytime you speak to them, you'll
Right.
close the conversation with "I love you" or whatever you do that sort of makes sure that you're expressing yourself completely and that you have that openness and everything. And again, getting into the harmony part of your relationship. Don't stay in the upsets and wait for the end of life to somehow maybe correct the wrong that had occurred. Again, it's a matter of letting go of some of that anger, or for allowing some forgiveness to occur, whatever it would take, because we need that sense of closure on a good
Yes.
note. Find your channel, the way forward to create harmony, some sort of affinity in that relationship with that person.
And then getting to ask the question, like, how important is it, in the realm of the big things?
Well, it's important to you to have peace of mind, I think.
Exactly. But
And
how
if you
important
want,
is it to hang on to those grudges and those negative
oh,
feelings?
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's a childlike mentality. That's the one who says, I'm never going to talk to you again. But the
I've
adult
seen
would,
80-year-old people saying those things.
well, of course they do. If you don't get control of your inner child, that child is going to create havoc in your life.
I know. I tell my mom and my aunts the same thing. I'm like, you're in your 70s now. Who's throwing a fit? You know what I mean? But
Right.
like you said, having to show up every day to be the best version of ourselves, even with the people we connect with.
Yeah, I think that best version of yourself takes discipline. It's not going, it doesn't happen by accident. Discipline is kind of repeating phrases or activities that allow you to kind of circulate this energy in you that's stagnant. And if you're not exercising, or if you're not meditating or praying, or whatever you do that kind of gets your endorphins up, you're not in the flow. You're not creating enough uh, you're not it's easier when you just automatic. It doesn't matter anymore after you've taken care of yourself.
Right.
You become less volatile with other people.
Yes. Well, that's where, self-care and self-love comes in. But I was thinking about how the moment we're given birth, in essence, we're already we're kind of dying, because we're aging right
Sure.
after we come out of the womb. But the fact that we can slow down that process by taking care of our mind, body, and soul, till the end, um, is in itself a journey of being like at your best point mind, how you think, how you talk, how you act within yourself and other people.
Yeah, I do believe that you want to understand that there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. And so again, my identifying that, the first 25 years were a certain phase of my life, between 25 and 45 is a phase in my life, 45 to 65 is a phase, and 65 to 85 is a phase in life. And of course, you might identify those as seasons of life.
Right.
And there's less required in the senior years or in the fall part. You're kind of like the energy is diminishing. Not to say that that's a bad thing, because every season has its beauty and its wonder,
Yes.
and to not sort of feel into that your being in terms of this being the winter of my life can be a very carefree kind of. There's the days are shorter, yes, but there's also you've had the whole year to kind of look back on and say, I really, if you're present to what you're trying to achieve during these times in life, there are many people in their 20s who are many much at the end of life in terms of
Yes.
their energy level, or their a lack of purpose or understanding of what, and I think that the anxiety and the depression get fed in those situations. And so
Well,
again, getting back into discipline to allow yourself to move out of that rut helps. And I'm becoming more daring in terms of telling people you've got to be more disciplined in life.
yes. Well, more discipline towards reaching your goals and your aim of having a life without regrets.
Getting comfortable.
Yes,
uh,
it's a
letting
very
go
good.
of something. Letting go of something. Okay, you lost a parent. I'm sorry, but you've got to let go of that anchor that's not allowing you to move forward, and
Yes.
be the person that your parent would want to see. You know,
So I love that word, getting comfortable with what we label as bad or not so good, that would weigh us down and not add value to ourselves.
yeah, it's. I think I look at people and I wonder, why can't you're better than this.
Yes.
There, I know that if you thought about this, and I know in their heart of hearts they know it too. It's just
Right.
somebody needs to kind of remind them that there's more to life than what you're experiencing right now. And again, what's stopping you from getting that education, or um, getting getting that pain under control, or doing a little bit more exercising.
Right.
You're kind of again digging these ruts that don't allow you to move forward.
Right. Like, how do we get out of our own way is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, each, that competence thing, competency that says, I know you're smart.
Yes.
I do believe in the intelligence that people have. The wherewithal is there. It's just a matter of letting go of those inner thoughts that say I'm not good enough, or no one cares about me, or I'm not, I don't deserve it. And
Right.
okay, well then that's your story. I don't really have any control over that part of it. And
Yes. And that's when you get to say, let it go. Get
right. Right. Let's look at it a different way. Let's look at, we see death as being wrong,
right.
but I'm like, if there's nothing wrong with dying, it's our perception around dying that's shameful. We've
Yes.
got to stop thinking in those terms, and shaming people into doing more, because, that's embarrassing for you to die. You seem
Right.
weak in this process. And I think that's unfair, given the fact that fate has a hand in our life, and
Yes.
we are supposed to sort of embrace the experiences that befall us, and to accept them on some ways, and create serenity and comfort in that process.
Absolutely. Well, I love having your topic here with me today. Again, it's so important for me to have the participants see the big picture of their life, from where they stand today, which is point A, to where they want to be, and then the latter parts of it, because nobody promised us anything tomorrow. Everything is in this moment.
But again, going back to that book about Sail the Seven Seas of Graceful Departures is letting go. As I flew into LA the other day, it was a beautiful sunset, and I thought, well, this is just exactly what I want to communicate to people, is to be able to be free, to be able to be let go, and to sail into the sunset in some
Yes.
respects, and to arrive at a place of comfort.
Yes.
And to understand that being a journey, that it's not a quick fix, but an understanding of your inner self that will allow this to manifest.
Yes. You have been a breath of fresh air. I will be sending everybody the link to your website as well as your free gift, and hoping everybody looks into his book, as well as what his current projects are. And I want you to know that I'm here to support you going forward if there's anything I can do.
I really appreciate that. I'm all about supporting caregivers, because I understand, really, in the scheme of life, patients rarely make their own decisions. It's the
Yes.
caregivers who get stuck making the heart-wrenching decisions, and they need much more preparation. We talk about
Absolutely.
advanced care planning for patients. Advanced care planning really has to happen for the caregivers. They
Yes.
are the ones who are guiding this journey, and
Transition.
if they are at a loss, they're missing out on some incredible moments to engage caregiving on a way that is not supposed to be overburdensome, but actually it's like raising children. You know,
Yes.
at parenting, you have this ability to really enjoy parenting, or you can be really overwhelmed by it.
Absolutely.
And you having a sense of, letting go is probably how you enjoy it more. Your
Yes.
self-righteousness that will really destroy others around you in many respects and yourself.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Participants, I urge you to watch this video over and over and get a really grip on how everything ties in together, and how important your life is, and how this sense of comfort can play into the current situation till the end of our journey. So thank you for being with me today.
I appreciate it, April.
I appreciate it.
Okay,
Bye.
good. Bye-bye.